the generation go forward on and on, right? I think the subsequent generation, they become less and less able to wait.
If you can't pay back, it means you are already poor lah. Then just forget about spending that kind of money lah. Yeah. Chicken, just like you mentioned about friends, the friends that you hang out with, right? What if it's your girlfriend? She wants you to eat nice food every 2-3 days a week.
Nice.
Then she won't be my then she won't be my girlfriend.
No, but
Welcome back to another episode of the Backholder Pod. So I think today it's a topic that is very close to my own personal heart because talking about my generation. But anyway, I think we are gonna discuss about this topic of buy now, pay later. So BNPL for short. So I think this idea of BNPL has started to be on an up and rising trend, even in the stock market. So you have companies like I think Affirm, or even dinosaur banks starting to try to adopt to this kind of ways of methods of payment. Even I think Apple started their own credit arm where they kind of manage their own credit risks and allowing for their own Apple Pay customers to kind of adopt this kind of buy now, pay later strategy. So this is a very critical issue now because it does seem like even CNA jumped onto the bandwagon and they did a very short documentary. So the documentary is around 20 minutes long. I'm not going to play the full thing. I'm just going to play a very short extract and then we will continue expounding on this topic of whether BNPL is kind of evil, whether is it a net benefit or net disadvantage to especially younger people that are not very well versed or not very experienced with managing their finance yet. So let me quickly share my screen.
Would you say that younger Singaporeans are more in debt today compared to previous generations?
They definitely are more at risk of getting into more debt compared to the previous generations. Part of the reason is wide accessibility of different instruments that they can get into debt with. Credit cards have been fairly utilized. Buy now, pay later is also coming of age. So the issue is that when we have a scheme like buy now, pay later, loan has two parts. One is the principal and the other one is the interest. So buy now, pay later does nothing to the principal. The challenge is that there are other hidden costs that many people might not be aware of. Suppose you might not be able to make the payment for an unfortunate incident like losing your job or some other medical expenses that might come in. That might actually have an impact on the penalties that you have to pay in. That penalties act as sort of a pseudo interest in some sense. So even though you think it's interest free over a period of time, that might be one of the things you have to worry about. So we did a survey back in 2021. We found out that many of the young adults from 18 to 30-year-olds actually have unsustainable levels of debt. That's more than a monthly income, so between 1 and 6 month income in debt levels. So about 1 in 3 had that levels of debt. Now, if you look at it from whether they could pay it off under the current circumstances, it might be a little challenging.
How worried should we be?
Having levels of debt which is high early on in their life might get them into a habit of taking more debt.
Maybe just wanted to start off the discussion. Kevin, do you have an opinion on this BNPL platforms?
I just want to say, Channel News Asia, their stuff like very cinematic, it's like very dramatic kind of stuff.
They have a whole team behind it.
But for buy now, pay later, I think it's sort of like credit card, but it lets you split the payments into even more months. So for credit card, you're actually borrowing money from the card company for 1 month, right? But for buy now, pay later, I think you can stretch it all the way to 12 months or something like that. So it's probably is for people who are less well-to-do, is good for them, I guess. It's good and bad for them lah.
Actually, this idea of BNPL, right? I think it's not new. So like what Kevin suggested, last time it was credit card, right? So now it's just this newer platforms coming out like Atomy, Grab, or whoever. They come in to try to chip off at the pie. They want to have a hand in that industry as well. So generally speaking, I think credit card has a very, it's not necessarily, it's a tool. A lot of people like to suggest that it's a tool. How you use it, it's like a hammer. Whether you use it to whack people because you don't like them, or whether you use it to kind of build stuff, it's not really the hammer's fault. But I think in this case for BNPL, it's kind of predatory in nature. So they are essentially preying on people that don't really know how to manage their finances. So I think for people that generally watch this podcast, or people that invest very well or have a lot of money in the equities market, you guys are probably better at managing your finances. So it might be a net good for you. But then I just wanted to really expound this topic because I think in CNA, they interview a lot of like millennials or even younger people in my generation, like the 20-ish. And then they were saying that they're not paying back enough. They currently still have a lot of debts in their under their name. So from that perspective, it's, I don't know, some of this marketing might be quite predatory in nature. They're just saying, hey, you can experience it today. You just have to split the bill up in like 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and then buy the whatever you want, insert the item here. So I don't know what you guys think of this kind of marketing message and how they kind of prey on the younger folks that don't really have financial literacy. But I just wanted to hear Bunti's opinion. Do you think it's a net positive, net negative, or of how this whole industry conducts themselves?
Now, I think although the term is new, like just now Kevin also explained, it's not that different compared to credit card. Because even let's say last time before you have buy now, pay later, you use your credit card and swipe and buy something. And then I don't know, maybe later if you don't pay, you drag on and then you can consolidate under another card and so on. I think it's the same thing. You can still drag it on, but with the cost of you are paying a lot more interest. But in this case, buy now, pay later, I don't know the mechanism. Maybe you are paying a lot more, like
I think
penalty.
One issue if you compare, right, is at least credit card got an annual income criteria, a threshold. So I think it's 30K for normal cards. Then there are some that are like 120K. But for BNPL, I think there really isn't much, It's like unsecured loan like that. It's unsecuritized. They don't even, some don't even need to check whether you have an income or not. So that's the dangerous part. But of course, the amount they allow is smaller, but still it's an unsecured loan.
Yeah, but I think my opinion on this is that we all can blame, the service provider, but what they are doing is they are, having a profitable business model. So they will earn from you. So that's what they are doing. So they should have some sort of like, like credit rating or whatever to help them rate the risk. Ultimately, they just want to make money. But from customer perspective, what you want to do is you want to make full use of all this facility without paying all the penalty and high interest. So you do it your way. If you suddenly didn't realize or end up like paying a lot of penalty or interest, I think it is your responsibility. I won't say that, because this is available, hence the service provider is the one that have to take the blame. Say, for example, if someone smoking and gets some, lung cancer, should you blame cigarette companies? I think you should blame yourself, right? The guy who choose, because no one get a pistol and point at your head and say you must take up these things, right?
Millennials shoring up so much debt under their name at such a young age.
Okay. I think yes, there's a point to be made about people having the financial literacy and all those things, but we got to say that I think the education system that we have in place now doesn't really focus a lot on financial literacy. So I think our youth, maybe they are not that savvy enough. And this generation, I think as the generation go forward on and on, right? I think the subsequent generation, they become less and less able to wait in terms of gratification, right? Like last time, our grandfather's time, they will like save up, prudent spending and all these things. Then they buy a home, then they, buy whatever this and not. Then as the generation go past, right, then you have more microwave kind of, I want this thing now. I want to have this flat screen 52-inch TV now, and then I pay over like 6 months, those kind of things. I think it's very attractive, very enticing, that kind of promotion. When like I see where Bunti is coming from, like you should have the self-restraint. But when you are targeting the younger folks, right, you can't really expect them to show a lot of restraint because they are not trained how to manage money. Of course, there are exceptions, people who are like, their parents are very financially literate, like, so maybe next time my son, he will also want to buy now, pay later. Then I'll smack his head and pay now lah. So probably you got to have someone there to guide you along. But if the parents also are not that financial literate, I think.
Hey guys, you know what?
What? Your stock 10x ah?
Not yet lah, but Webull is now giving out free shares when you sign up.
Yeah, the brokers also giving out free shares, what?
But Webull is different leh. For Webull, you just need to fund any amount to get up to 5 free shares for now.
Wow, any amount.
Yes, any amount. Just fund $1 also can. Then you'll get up to 5 free stocks worth up to $500 there.
Or say liao lor.
So if you haven't signed up to Webull yet, you can sign up using the link down below.
What lah?
Could be tough leh, I feel. Like, Chicken, how about yourself? Like, does your father actually, teach you like how to manage your money from a very, very young age?
As in we did talk about investment since quite young, which is why I kind of started relatively early. But in terms of spending wise, not really though. Spending wise, it's I mean, I'm not a very big spender as well, unless yeah. So a lot of my money is just channeled into the markets.
But you don't feel the peer pressure from your friends, like, hey, Chicken, go and drink
No,
Starbucks.
I have no friends, how? No
lah,
just joking.
lah.
No it's okay. So I think from that perspective, right, it's really the kind of people that you hang out with, So people that go drinking, of course, inevitably you're gonna spend a lot of money. People that goes clubbing, like, what the heck, man? The rates there now is insane, and like for inflation as well. Or at least you want to drink, you drink at home. You don't drink outside. You get what I mean? Like, those are lifestyle choices. But I think the environment that you construct for yourself is also very important. Meaning the friends you hang out with, the people the places that you go, the types of food that you eat. If it becomes a lifestyle, like you need to you must insta this thing, then maybe you will have a bigger issue. I mean, from a younger folk perspective, but then it'll be a very boring life. I mean, people say it's a very boring life. It doesn't matter
Chicken, just you mentioned about friends, the friends that you hang out with, right? What if it's your girlfriend? She wants you to eat nice food every 2-3 days a week.
Nice.
Then she won't be then she won't be my girlfriend.
No, but but things can change, right? At the start, she very shy. You guys very shy.
Right. Then I think
you're horny as heck.
No. Wait, I think I need to clarify, right? I think this idea of being in that dynamics, right? It's a process of adapting to one another, right? So if you succumb to that and then you whatever now I also have money already, I have income, and then I go along, right? Then there is something that needs to go. Like, there's something that you need to sacrifice. But from this perspective, if you ask me now, and like you say, it's a process, they suddenly start changing in that direction, right? Then it's kind of my responsibility also to change back to the other direction, right? So you need to sales stop her, you need to go through the process of trying to understand what the objectives, why you need to save money, etc., etc. So this kind of education part, it depends, but it's a lifestyle choice anyway at the end of the day. So there's no right answer to this topic. So that's just my 2 cents.
Then I have a question. Some people relate buy now pay later to buying luxury stuff, right? Like in the Channel News Asia, she's buying makeup or something like that. So what if you are like very poor, your income is like $500, then you don't have enough money to spend. In that case, should you actually take out buy now pay later?
No, income where got $500 one now. Now I think even we don't have minimum wage but intern now also got at least 800, 1,000 already. Inflation already. But anyway, I think I get where you're coming from, like in terms of how you're gonna use it. So I think like what Bunti said, right? It's at the end of the day, it's a tool. So personally, for me, I also use it as a tool because I mean, for non-finance nerds, right, there's this idea called time value of money, right? Like money worth more now than in the future, right? So for now, for most of my expenses, I charge it to a credit card. So I'll kind of delay it to the last day, and then I will pay off the amount of money that I use. So in a way, you are managing your cash flow. But then the here comes the dangerous part. Number one, you miss a payment. Number two, maybe you spend too much and then you never keep track of expenses and stuff like that. So I think at the end of the day, you kind of just need to weigh the pros and cons, and you need to be critically aware of your personality. Because this kind of BNPL thing, right? It works perfectly for some type of personality, those very disciplined kind. Then on the other side, if you really know that your personality cannot make it one, meaning you'll always miss a payment, you'll pay the minimum fee and then you let the rest roll over that kind, right? If you are that kind of people, then you'll be like, ayo, never mind the interest on a $500 bill, even if 10% is like what, $50, okay give it to them. If you know you're this kind of personality, then you better use a debit card. Don't go and do BNPL or whatever, this kind of nonsense. So it's really a lot more on like understanding yourself, like how you consume, how you engage with this kind of issues. So for me now, at least I think I'm still relatively disciplined. But in the future, if I start spending incredible sums of money, then and do it in a very haphazard way, then I will probably go back to a debit card also, or even an ATM card, so that I can't even pay with. I need to press money from the ATM. I think these are quite useful tips for people that like to anyhow spend. You get what I mean? Because I think the psychological barrier when you take out the cash is different when you pay with.
I think our discussion here, right? Everyone here, I will assume we are relatively sensitive towards management of our finances. I think it'll be great if we can have someone, right, that is like Volchap finances one. Like they're like, huh? What? Invest? What's that? Can eat or not?
Don't need lah. Tomorrow die already how? Why need to invest?
Yeah lah. So there are actually a lot of people, right? They are not as financially inclined as we are. To them, they don't even invest. Like just now you were saying, right? If let's say you're the sort of people that have no discipline, you don't pay the credit card off, then you should work with a debit card. Of course, if you are a logical person and you actually reflect on your spending, right, you will do that. But a lot of people who are not like financially savvy, they don't even look at how much they're spending, and then you ask them, how come your credit card like always got this interest thing that you're paying? Like, oh, I don't know, I never really look at it. And then how much are you spending? I'm not really sure. So there are those type of people. That's why we are kind of that's why I think the what CNA, they are quite concerned with the young folks, right? They have no idea how to manage their finances, and then they're just spending because it looks manageable to them, and they didn't realize that the interest compounds upon itself in a negative way. So they get more and more into debt. So I think that's the concern that we have for the younger folks. Yeah.
I think the problems, right, sometimes isn't so much about like their knowledge, because this one is not, it's not like they can't, understand how compounding works or how the maths work or how the interest rate is calculated. Sometimes this has to do more on the emotional and psychology part. Like just now, Eric, you also mentioned, right, that people cannot wait because last time when you send a letter, took like 3 days to arrive at your, friend. Now it's like, how come waited 5 seconds, still haven't, like, message not delivered, unacceptable, right? So people don't have patience, and they can't delay this so-called delayed gratifications. They can't have it now. So and also we started out talking about all these buy now pay later, and we talk about credit card. Actually, the problem isn't just about all this service. I think the bigger problem is that people want to spend and they use debt to spend, meaning they take up loan, right? And they lose control of it. So I think ultimately it's like how much money that you have and you spend within that means, right? Then you are fine. And this one is not just the monthly expenses. I think sometimes it has to do with larger purchases. Say, for example, like buying house, right? Say, for example, you have like 5K, 7K salary. Have you thought about like, can you afford like let's say 1 million property? Because I would say that it's very painful. Let's say if you only have, let's say, 5,000, 7,000 salary, even with your couple having similar salary, I don't think 1 million, you should be able to afford that. But there's this thing called mortgage, loan, bank will come and assist you. So they will push you towards buying bigger house. Same for this type of like, buy now, pay later. Everyone is like encouraging you to spend a lot more. And we will slowly, over time, you will embed into this kind of ecosystem. And we will just spend more than what we can afford. I think this is how the entire thing is game. So very dangerous, I would say. But anyway, it has just need to be disciplined when it comes to spending. Yeah. Right.
But I think like if you were to compare like a mortgage, right, compared to this kind of very small amount, I mean relatively small amount, like a few $1,000s, right? I think the magnitude is different, because when you're signing let's say for example, a 700,000-800,000 mortgage on a 1 mil property, you would think through more. And you'll probably do a little bit more research. But then this kind of like, let's say I want to buy the latest MacBook or $2,000. I BNPL 6 months, then I split it into a few $100. Never mind. This one, give it to them. Apple, how much only? Then the issue with this structuring of the model is very dangerous in a way, especially for people that don't save, is that the upfront amount is very small. Then it just, the interest sometimes also is not that bad. Like 10-20% on a few $100s is okay. But then the issue comes when you keep structuring into a smaller quantum, right? And then it stacks, so the $200 you pay next month or pay for the next 6 months, and then the second month you stack again, then the third month you stack again, then come the 6 month, how come the amount so much? You get what I mean? So that's why I use this term very carefully, like it's predatory in nature because it's preying on people that are unsuspicious. But then compared to a $700,000-800,000 loan, the bank know you probably need to put in a lot more thought and to sign on the dot to say that you want to take a $800,000 mortgage. So that's why I think that is slightly more dangerous if you look at it from that perspective. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, if you spend above your means, it's just unhealthy. But
actually, for the mortgage, last year OCBC did some wellness index survey. They found that 2 in 5 Singaporeans have difficulty paying their mortgage. So I think it's not about the quantum, it's about the person they underestimate the amount that they have to pay. So then even for credit card, right, there's 1 in 3 people who is paying the minimum sum according to OCBC. So it's up to the person. So this buy now pay later, I actually knew about it last year, but I didn't really talk about it in my video because there's of course sign up bonus, right? I will get paid. But in terms of reward, right?
But sign up bonus
buy now pay later.
BNPL platform.
Yeah. So if I refer people, I will get paid some referral fee. So but the reason I haven't really do that video is because I didn't see much benefit to that platform. It's so you compare credit card to buy now pay later. For credit card, if you spend, you'll get some points, you'll get some cashback. For buy now pay later, there's really nothing to reward you with. So really there's no real reason to sign up to buy now pay later. If you want to delay your payments, just go with credit card, delay with one month, and I think there's more than enough time for you to pay back. If you can't pay back, it means you are already poor. Then just forget about spending that kind of money. Yeah.
Actually, there's this thought process. I don't know whether you guys heard of it before. There are people who really encourage people not to have any debt at all. Like all forms of debt, including credit card, houses, and so on. I mean, this is a very extreme. Now we are talking about this is you accumulate debt. The other extreme is zero debt. Then you think of how to operate under that. So if you able to make sense of it, doesn't mean that you really need to keep at zero. It's just that if you operate like that, it actually break you out from the thinking of every time I spend, I need to use that. I think that's some thought process that may be helpful. I don't know. I like to usually adopt this kind of thought process just to experiment a bit, screw up the mind a bit to break out from this prison.
Right. I think from this entire discussion, this BNPL thing, it's a lot more personality driven or individual driven. So meaning if somebody that is very, very literate, very disciplined, they can use it as a tool to help them in their financial journey. And then on the flip side, for those of you who don't really know how to manage your money and stuff, it will be an extremely dangerous thing to play around with as well. So hope you guys enjoyed the discussion, and do leave in the comment section down below what you think about it. And remember to smash that cute little like button. On a side note, this entire BNPL thing, I mean, signing up for brokerage platform confirm got free money. Then they also wouldn't instigate you to, they will instigate you to invest more. So you put in more money into the stock market, maybe net you'll be better off in 10 years time. But with that, hope you guys enjoyed the discussion, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.